Good morning and welcome to the VI SBDC Lunch and Learn webinar with SBA. My name is Mary Jo Williams. I'll be your moderator for today's session. And today's session is entitled Funding Options, Access to Capital. And our presenters today are Lisa Shamli-Akwi and Mr. Wayne Huddleston, and I'll let them give you more detail about themselves. Now, the SBDC, for those of you that are new, is a joint venture arrangement between the U.S. Small Business Administration and the University of the Virgin Islands. And because of that arrangement, the SBDC provides technical assistance to people at no charge. It's your tax dollars at work. And we have two offices that are currently working remotely. In St. Croix, the office is located at 6300 Estate Peters Rest, next to the old Sprint and the new T-Mobile office. And in St. Thomas, the office is in the process of moving to the old West Bay supermarket. So both offices are working remotely, so you can't show up at the office and see anybody, but you can call us, you can email us, you can check us out on the internet, and that's where we are. So today's session is all about funding. So let me turn control of the session over to Ms. Lisa Shamli-Akwi.
Thank you, Mary Jo, for that introduction, and thank you, VI SBDC, for hosting us again for another Lunch and Learn, especially during this busy week, because I know you guys have lots going on with the move. So thank you again. And good morning to our listening audience. I am joined by our Senior Area Manager, Wayne Huddleston. And between the two of us, we're going to hopefully give you a few more funding options in terms of SBA's programs that give you access to capital in this time where we are still dealing with the COVID pandemic and pivoting our businesses to take, to meet the challenges of the new economy. So when working with SBA, small business owners and entrepreneurs have access to capital. We offer valuable resources, business know-how, and the right expertise, no matter what stage of the business life cycle you're in, whether you're starting just started a business, whether you're growing, or in our case, pivoting your businesses, whether you're expanding or whether you're still trying to recover, whether it's from this disaster, the COVID-19 pandemic, or other physical disasters that your business may have undergone in the last couple of years. So as you listen to the options, as we go through the slide deck, think of where you are in your business life cycle and what's the plan for the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. What are you looking to achieve? All right, so when we think of what has happened this year in response to the pandemic in the US VI, and if we have anyone else from other than the US VI, Puerto Rico or stateside, you will note that we have had unprecedented participation in the funding opportunities since March. And those have taken the form of the two major programs, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And that one is still available to small businesses through December 31st, 2020. And for that one, you apply online. I'll go through that a little bit more in the next slide. And then our second CARES Act funding program, which was the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, as it is known. And if you look at the numbers, you can see that US Virgin Islands businesses benefited and were able to access. So we had 2,057 approved loans for PPP, bringing almost $126.5 million into the US Virgin Islands through small businesses as at the 8th of August when that program closed. For the EIDL, as we call it, the economic injury, so far we have had, well, I say so far, but it was to the 23rd of November, so the numbers may be slightly higher than that, but we've had 748 loans approved for very close to $94 million as at the 23rd of November. We know that the corona virus pandemic is not yet abated. We're still seeing spikes here in the US, Virgin Islands, and around the country. And so we're still in that mode of adapting constantly to meet those challenges. All right. And we at SBA are well placed to meet the community small business funding and resource needs. And this is what the majority of this is about. So before we get into other funding options, it is, it's important to note that the EIDL for small businesses that may still need operational funds and working capital, you can continue to apply for a loan until December 31st. To 2020 in this round. We're not sure what's going to happen yet with other parts of the stimulus package, but that's what is available now. And that one you can apply directly through www.sba.gov. So what is the economic injury disaster loan? So that is a long-term direct loan from the SBA. And its purpose is to help small businesses meet the financial obligations and operating expenses that they would have met through the normal course of business had this pandemic not happened. The formula for giving the loans, SBA looks at about 6 months of working capital, but EIDL has a current cap of $150,000. Interest rates for small businesses are 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits and faith-based organizations. The maturity on those loans is 30 years. No collateral is required up to $25,000. And if your loan is over $25,000, then yes, collateral is required to the amount over that portion. Personal guarantee was not required or is not required, and only when the cap was over $150,000, then personal guarantees were required for those who took loans at that time exceeding $200,000. This is not a forgivable loan. That's the PPP, and I'll just go through that very quickly after we finish on this side. But so we're down the left column. So this is a loan, and it can be repaid at any time without prepayment penalties up to the 30 years maturity date at the interest rate specified just before. The first payments are deferred for 12 months or 1 year. However, if your business is recovering at a faster pace and you want to make payments within those 12 months, you can. There's no prepayment penalty. And you should know that interest accrues during the deferral period. So you will see the deferred interest tagged onto the principal amount when you start paying, and your payment details are through www.pay.gov. So if we look at the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program, the last round closed on August 8th, so it's not currently available. And those loans were made instead of just through the SBA, it was made through nearly 5,500 lenders throughout the country. And it was designed primarily to provide an incentive for employers to keep workers on the payroll and for small businesses to keep people on the payroll. The amount available, I have 3 zeros less than that, so I will correct that before we send out this. It was up to $10 million, not $10,000. Sorry, and that correction will be made. The interest rate is 1% for the portion of the loan, any portion of the loan that is not forgivable. The maturity on that, depending on when you got your loan approved, if it was before June 5th, then your maturity is 2 years. If it was after June 5th, then your maturity is 5 years. No collateral was required, neither was a personal guarantee. And it is fully forgivable if the funds were used for eligible expenses, and that was a minimum of 60% up to 100% on payroll expenses, and a maximum of 40% on rent, mortgage interest, and utility payments. The first payment on the PPP will be deferred for the period of time depending on when the borrower submits the request for loan forgiveness, and that time ideally is the when you got your Paycheck Protection Program loan, you had a covered period of either 24 weeks for all of us, or 8 weeks if you elected to take the shorter amount. And then the 10 months following, within that 10 months is when it is suggested that you apply for PPP forgiveness. All right, and here is where I'm going to turn it over to Wayne Huddleston to take us through the meat of some other funding options that that are available to you as small businesses. Take it away, Wayne.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa, and good morning, everyone. Lisa did an outstanding job of covering the loan programs that are intended to address the current pandemic and disaster that we're in. But I'm going to spend a little bit more time today talking about other opportunities that are out there to fund your business, whether we're in a pandemic or not. These are loan programs or opportunities for capital that are available for you to start or grow your business at any time. So I'm going to spend the bulk of my time talking about SBA-backed loans, because that is what most people know us for. That is what we do the most, is SBA guaranteed lending. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on that. And then I'm also going to touch upon private investors in the form of SBICs, small business investment companies. I'm going to talk a little bit about R&D grant funds that are available on a very limited basis. And I'm going to talk about surety bonds. But first, I'd like to talk about the SBA 7A and 504 lending program, which are SBA-backed loans. Now, to even be eligible for these lending programs, there are a number of underwriting criteria you must follow, but to begin the process, you must meet these guidelines. You must be a for-profit business. 7A loans cannot be provided to nonprofit businesses. Hold on just one second. Okay. You must do business in the United States. It cannot be for a business that is done outside the United States. You must have invested equity in a business. You cannot receive an SBA loan and not have put in any money of your own in the deal. And then finally, you must exhaust other financing options. SBA loans are not for larger businesses or businesses that are doing well and can get their financing elsewhere. They're for businesses that are struggling with getting funding from traditional means and need just a little bit of help to get that through a bank. Now, 7A and 504 loans, SBA-backed loans, can be used for a wide variety of purposes. They can be used to start up a business. They can be used to help you obtain financing in an industry that's a little bit riskier than others. They can help you overcome a lack of collateral. And they can also allow for longer repayment terms on your loan or lower interest rates, and improve your cash flow overall by securing those terms. So I'm going to talk first about 7A loans, which are our largest loan program that we have at SBA. In any given year, we guarantee across the country a little over $20 to $23 billion worth of loans to business owners across the country using a large network of lenders. These loans can be used for a lot of different purposes: purchase machinery, equipment, inventory, expand or renovate your facilities, construct a commercial building, refinance debt. It can finance a change in ownership. It can be used to acquire a business. And in some cases, it can even be used to fund startup operations. The terms and features of these loans vary depending on the kind of 7A loan that you secure with your lender. However, it can be used for a loan size up to $5 million. The loans can be very small. They can just be a few $1,000s or $1,000, and it can go all the way up to $5 million. That guarantee, if you're over, if you're under $150,000, that guarantee can be as high as 85%. Over $150,000, that guarantee drops to 75%. And again, I want to reiterate, these are guarantees towards your lender. So we back that loan towards your lender to cut out their risk in the deal. There's a longer maturity in our loans. Typically, they are fixed or variable rates. They typically have a lower equity injection requirement. And the lack of collateral is not the only reason to decline a loan. And for loans less than $25,000, collateral is not necessarily required to get our guarantee on a loan for a lender. Next slide, please.
Lisa, it looks like Wayne has frozen.
Okay, so I will take it over. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So until Wayne is able to reconnect, all of the local lenders in the US VI, the major local lenders, are partners for SBA guaranteed 7A loans. So we have, Banco Popular, which is also there in Puerto Rico, Bank of St. Croix, First Bank, again, also in Puerto Rico, Merchants Commercial Bank, which is based, domiciled on St. Thomas, and also covers St. John, Oriental Bank, which is again in the 2 US territories of Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands, and the US VI Economic Development Bank. So all of the local lenders are guarantee SBA 7A loans. However, if you have a relationship with a lender outside of the territory, and that is your primary business banking relationship or lending relationship, then go ahead and ask them. Chances are, if it is one of the larger lenders, then you can approach them for an SBA loan. All right, so now we're going to go on into the and learn a little bit about the 504 loan program, and this is primarily facilitated through community development lenders, and the purpose is slightly different than 7A loans. It's financing for the purchase of fixed assets at low rates. Okay, and I see that Wayne is back. So I'm happy to turn it back over to him if he'd like.
My apologies. Thank you, Lisa. I don't know why that happens.
It always happens, so don't worry about it. And we'll just pick up where we go. And I see a question in the chat. Please note that we're going to answer all the questions after the presentation is finished, and then come back to you. Okay, so take it away, Wayne.
Great. Thank you very much, Lisa. Sorry, everyone. I'm not sure why that happens, but it happens once every time, it seems like, on these presentations. So hopefully it won't happen again. It hasn't happened twice yet. So 504 loans, I believe Lisa was going over those. I'll just go over this whole slide real quickly. 504 loans are the other big guaranteed lending program that we have at SBA in addition to 7A. They are a little bit more specific in how they are used and how they are facilitated. Instead of a lender facilitating the loan themselves and then working with you, 504 loans are facilitated through what we call community development corporations, CDCs. They facilitate the loan, they work with a lender, and they work with you. A typical loan structure would be a lender taking 50% of a deal, a CDC taking 4% or 40%, and then a borrower putting in 10%. A borrower on a 504 deal will be required to put in a minimum of 10% up to 20%, depending on the structure of the deal. Now, these loans are specifically used for the purchase of land or buildings or the purchase of equipment, very durable equipment, and in rare cases, sometimes inventory or leasehold improvements or construction of a new facility. They are specific for that purpose. They require that tangible asset to be part of the deal. The interest rates on these are extremely low right now. So if at this time you are at all considering moving to a new location, purchasing a new location, or purchasing some specific and large equipment, you may want to consider a 504 deal. There are a number of providers of these deals. You can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Oh, and here it is, the interest rate. So as I mentioned, interest rates right now are at historic lows. The terms of these are somewhat similar to SBA in that the max amount is $5 million, 5.5 if it's for a manufacturing business. There are requirements that the business must create or retain a job for every 65,000 provided by SBA. Collateral is typically the asset which is being financed. So typically a 504 loan is used to purchase a building or to build a building, and that building is the collateral in the deal. And the maturity of a loan, 10 years for maturity for machinery and equipment and 25 years for real estate. As I mentioned, interest rates are below 3%. As of August, they were at 2.23 for a 25-year fixed, and a 20-year fixed 2.21. There is a fee associated with it, 3% of the 504 portion of the loan, and that is typically worked into the loan. There are two providers of 504 loans in the territory at this time. One is out of Puerto Rico. It's called COFEC. The number or the website is there. You can visit and get more information at www.lendreams.com. You can also contact the president and their senior lending officer, Everardo Velez. Their email is right there, and the phone number for Everardo is there, 787-765-5080. COFEC has done several 504 loans here in the past, and they are familiar with all the lenders here in the territory. There is another one that has been active in the territory called Regional Business Assistance Corporation. It is actually out of New Jersey. It is one of the largest 504 lenders in the country. They are very successful. William Pasmino pictured there. He has visited both St. Thomas and St. Croix. He has interacted with the lenders. He understands territory. He is also another option to get a 504 deal done here in the territory. So if you are interested in pursuing that route, you can reach out to one of them. You can also reach out to your lender and request that you're interested in a 504 loan. Again, if you are at all thinking about purchasing a new property for your business or big equipment for your business, you should be looking at a 504 loan right now. Interest rates are at historic lows. You will not find a better deal out there, period. Next slide, please. So with all these loans, whether that's a 7A loan or a 504 loan, you still must comply with basic underwriting standards to determine your creditworthiness. So even if you're not getting a guarantee, all lenders are going to be looking at what we call the 5 C's of credit. And they can be characterized as character, cash flow, collateral, capitalizations, and conditions. So even if you are receiving a guarantee for a loan from SBA, we can help you overcome typically one of these conditions. So if you are going in to get a loan and you have not met one of these 5 C's to a standard that is acceptable to a lender, if you do not have a guarantee, they will typically just not process your loan. You will not be able to get a loan through a lender without a guarantee if you do not meet one of these. Typically, if you meet 4 out of 5, you can get an SBA guarantee to help that lender overcome that issue with that particular problem, with all but one of these. So I'm going to go through from right to left just to talk about these. So the conditions of the market is typically what is in your business plan and what the lender knows about the market. For instance, right now, a business in the hospitality industry or in tourism, we know the market is not doing well right now. We expect it will do well in the future, but right now it's not. And so if you're opening up a business and need a loan for that business right now in this environment, that is a difficult sales pitch to make to a lender, to say that I am opening up a business that will cater to cruise ships, for instance, and we don't have any cruise ships coming in the territory. So you want to make sure in your business plan that you address the conditions in the market, you show that you understand the market, and you outline why your product or service is in need and will be in demand, and why you will make money. Next is your capitalizations. That is your financial statements in the business. That is your assets. That is your balance sheet. That is what it shows that you have, that you're putting, how your business is going to make money, how that cash flow is. So if you've been in business for a little while, you want to show at least 3 years of cash flow statements. And you want to show your balance sheet to show how much you have on hand and what you're doing. You just need to have all those financial statements together and in order. Next will be collateral. You'll have to show how much collateral you're putting up, whether that is a piece of equipment or a piece of land or cash that you have. You're going to want to show that. And you're going to want to show your cash flow in your business, how much cash you have to put into business, but also how much money your business has been making over the years. You want to show your income statements. This is where, if you are a startup, you will not be able to show that, and that would be a red mark, or kind of a red mark against you for being able to obtain a loan. It doesn't necessarily mean you cannot obtain a loan as a startup. It just makes it that much harder to find a lender who's willing to take that risk. Even with our guarantee, there are many lenders who will say, even with an SBA guarantee, we will not do a loan for startups. And that's their choice, and they can do that. And we can offer that guarantee. We can't force them to do a loan. Some are just not comfortable with doing it for startups, but some are. Some will be willing to do it as long as their other conditions are met, that there's sufficient collateral, the conditions of the market look good, and everything else is good. And then finally, your character. Sometimes people say that this is determined by your credit score, which it can be true that your credit score is one indicator of your character. However, your character is assessed through every interaction with your business. So your lender, if they make appointments with you, they want to know that you're going to show up on time for your appointments. If you are saying you're going to provide information or financial statements, that you do provide those financial statements and that information when you said you're going to provide it. And then finally, that you are honest in all your dealings with a lender. Oftentimes when you're trying to get a loan, there is a pressure felt to make your business or you seem credit worthy. And so sometimes people will want to hide information or portray information differently than how it was really in truth. So you want to make sure you do not do that. You want to make sure that you're true in every aspect of your business, even if that information is unfavorable. It goes a long way with a lender when you admit parts of your business that perhaps if you had a bankruptcy or if you had some other issues with your business, they don't want you to be hiding that. They want you to be upfront with that, truthful with that, and honest with that. And that honesty can go a long way in determining your character when lenders are assessing the 5 C's of credit. So next slide, please. So you're also in your business loan, you want to make sure you address those 5 C's, but you must absolutely be walking in with a business plan, with your expense sheets, with your financial statements, and with your financial projections all ready to go. You do not want to start that meeting without having those in place, because they can't go anywhere. They can't even start assessing your business. They can't give you an idea of whether they can do a loan or not unless you have these statements and documents ready to go ahead of time before you speak with a lender. Next slide, please. To help with those, there are a number of resources to help with those. The Small Business Development Center, which is our host today, they have paid full-time staff members that can provide you business consulting, but they can also sit down with you one-on-one to sit down and walk through your business plan, offer their advice. They can walk through your financial statements and take a critical eye towards that and be able to give you the proper feedback before you walk into a lender. The SBDC will not write your business plan for you, and they will not create your financial documents, but they will help you edit your documents. They will help you understand what you need to do to improve your business plan and how your financial statements should look before you send them to a lender. So I would certainly sit down and make an appointment with the Small Business Development Center counselor before ever walking into a lender to get that honest feedback on what they are going to need, what the lender is going to need to see before they can consider giving you a loan. Another resource provider out there is called SCORE. You can get more information at usvi.score.org. You can get paired with a mentor for your business. An advantage that SCORE has is they have a large number of volunteer mentors, all from around the country, who have expertise in a wide variety of fields. So for instance, if you wanted to go into the restaurant business, in all likelihood, a SCORE chapter is going to have someone with experience in the restaurant industry and can patch you or connect you with a mentor who can give you some advice and mentorship and coaching on that particular industry because they have experience in the industry. Also on their website, they have a great number of templates. So if you are at very beginning stages of building your financial statements or putting together your business plan, SCORE has a good list of templates that can help you. You can just go in, grab that template, start filling it in, and then use that in your interactions with SCORE mentors to get their advice and help, and also use it in your interactions with SBDC counselors as they review your business plan and your financial statements. And then finally, if you're a veteran-owned business, we have a separate resource provider called the Veterans Business Outreach Center, which is available to you. It's out of New Jersey. However, it serves this region or Region 2. To get more information from them, just visit VBOC Region 2, and you can get more information. These resource providers typically all work together to help support you as a business owner, so you don't necessarily need to go to one and not the other. I encourage you to make use of all of them. Next slide, please. So that was a brief overview of our 7A lending. I'm going to briefly touch upon our other sources of capital that can be provided through SBA. One is called an SBIC, Small Business Investment Companies. These are entities that provide venture capital to firms either to start or grow a business. These are typically firms that invest in riskier industries, industries that typically cannot secure capital through a traditional lender. But in return, since they are making investments in what are typically riskier deals, they are looking for a high rate of return and a high rate of growth. If your business is a match for a private investor, you can find more information on the SBICs in our directory through sba.gov/funding programs, investment capital. One word of advice is SBICs are typically not investing in a traditional business, such as a restaurant or such as another service provider that is very traditional, because typically those businesses have a very stable but low income stream, and they're not necessarily typically ones that are going to grow exponentially. However, if you have a business that is expected to grow, either you're expected to have multiple locations or grow into the States or grow down the island through exporting, that may be something that an investor would want to invest in. So, but these are not angel investors. These are more investors in a high growth industry. Next slide, please. So another one I mentioned earlier, there's a very slight opportunity for federal grants. I hesitate to talk about federal grants because oftentimes people are looking for businesses or looking for grants to start or grow their business, and those are just not out there. But in rare occasions, if you have a business that is meeting a key need for a federal agency, then sometimes those federal agencies will be willing to invest in your business and provide a grant to help bring your product to commercialization if it serves a need for that particular agency. They typically are funding in areas such as artificial intelligence, nanomaterials, clean energy, water filtration, education technology, or wearable technology. So if you have a business that is building the next better light bulb or addressing issues with agriculture or other things that are new, and you just need the funding to help bring your product to life, this may be an opportunity for you. You can learn more about opportunities at sbir.gov. There's a full listing of federal entities that participate and the projects that they are interested in funding in. So you can find a little bit more information on that at sbir.gov, or you can call Lisa or I, we'll give you more information. Finally, the last part where SBA can help with access to capital is in the way of surety bonds. These are typically more for construction businesses that are bidding on contracts, especially government contracts, whether those are federal or local contracts. They often require that the business be bonded. And these are essentially a form of insurance for the contract provider. So if the territory is looking for someone to repair a street or to build a building and they need a contract with someone, they will request that that construction firm be bonded. And at SBA, we license bonders in the territory to provide that bonding for those contracts. If you're interested in receiving a surety bond for your business on a particular project, just visit sba.gov/surety bonds, and you can have a drop down. There will be a drop down list there where you can select the Virgin Islands, and you will be provided the contact information for every surety bond company that is certified by SBA to do business here in the Virgin Islands. You can be assured that if we have certified that bonding entity, that they will provide it under terms that are reasonable. They will not provide outlandish terms for that bond that some bonders might provide or might require if they are not certified by SBA. So I believe right here, Lisa, is where you were going to take over and talk about international financing and wrap us up. Okay.
So in case your business is in the position where it can go global, and because we're on an island, sometimes we think the global means exporting to stateside US, but that's not it. However, we have 27 Caribbean countries all around us and several other continents where you can export. Then the SBA can help you go global and help you with some guarantees for export. One is through counseling and training, either through the export assistance centers or again through your SBDCs, who can help put you on to specialists in that area. SBA can also help you find buyers internationally through its State Trade Expansion Program. And just to note that there is a seminar coming up, you'll see it in the next slide, about the STEP program and how your small business can get access to that more readily. And then SBA offers export funding loans, export express loans, working capital loans, and international trade loans. And what's important to note there is that of all the loans that SBA provides, this one is where the least equity from the borrower is required, because it's really, they want to see the business grow and expand globally. So this was the webinar that I was talking about that's coming up on exporting, and it's on December 15th at 3 p.m. our time. That's Atlantic Standard Time. And you would see this on Twitter. This was a Twitter ad, and then the Eventbrite link to it. As I hover over it, can you see the link? If anyone is interested in attending this webinar, feel free to email me, and you'll see my email coming up on the next slide. And I'm happy to send you the flyer for more direct access. All right, and then here we are. This is, we're not just available to you during these webinars, but we're available to you. Just send us an email or give us a call on, our cell phones. But that way, the email, you're allowed, you have the opportunity to explain what situation your business is in, and then you get a written response or we give you a call back if you provide contact information. So feel free to email Wayne Huddleston or give him a call at wayne.huddleston@sba.gov, or myself, Lisa Shamley-Acquie, at sba.gov. Now, if you want to receive more information about the webinars, the programs that SBA offers on a more regular basis, we encourage you to go to our district office website, www.sba.gov/PR. And that's not just for Puerto Rico, that's for Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. And to sign up on our Gov Delivery platform, which is where you'll get information on all of the webinars coming up, both in Spanish and in English, and have access to the programs and so on. We also encourage you to follow us on Twitter, and that would be twitter.com/SBA_Puerto Rico. Again, that is, you have access to the programs, not just for Puerto Rico, but for the US Virgin Islands as well. Okay, now if you found the information in this webinar helpful, or you've attended others, we always welcome feedback. It helps us understand if we're meeting the needs of the small businesses in our territory, in our district. What else could we be doing? What do you need? What do you need more information on? So please take a minute and let us know through www.sba.gov/feedback. It allows you to get specific on the webinar that you attended, who were the hosts, that kind of thing, and to give us specific feedback so that we can be in a cycle of continuous improvement for your benefit. All right. And with that, and before we open up to questions, we just want to thank again the Virgin Islands SBDC, VI SBDC, for hosting another Lunch and Learn with us, with SBA, to give you access to different funding options and access to capital. So with that, I will, let's open it up for questions. And as you can either come off mute or type your question in the chat, and let's see how best we can address it. So we have one in the chat that we have read, and it's about an idle application assistance for a specific business. Fernando, what you need to know is that as field officers in SBA, we do not have access to individual idle applications. So in terms of us being able to take your idle application number, we have to call the same numbers, the 800-659-2955, or email disastercustomerassistance@sba.gov. And because we're not the borrower, that's as far as we get. So what I would say is, having read your text, that change of ownership in the middle of the idle process is a complicated matter. And the approval, if you got, there's 4 steps in the idle application. You submit the application, and then you get a quotation for what's the maximum that you can be approved for. That is not the approval itself. So it doesn't go from that to funds being in your account. As long as you accept that, then the 3rd step is SBA requiring information. And if you say that that's where it's stalemated in terms of owner documentation and ownership specifics, then that's the 3rd stage before it's either approved or denied, and that's when the funds come in. So I don't know, Wayne, is there anything else, any other guidance that we could provide Fernando with at this stage?
No, I think that's it. I can't see the chat because it deleted after I logged out, but I think that's good advice.
Okay, and Fernando, so what I will do is I will share your information with both Wayne and so our colleagues in Puerto Rico, to see if there's anything, any other advice that would be able to help you on this matter. All right, and that was the only question in the chat. We do ask, if you want, please feel free to unmute yourself and come on and ask questions about the material that you've heard in this seminar, or if there's anything else you want to ask about.
This is Mary Jo. Does the SBA fund loans for people to buy houses? Guarantee loans for people to buy houses?
Not if it's just a place of residence and not a business, no.
So what if a person wanted to buy an apartment building with long-term rentals? Was that a guaranteed kind of situation?
If they are occupying the building and long-term rentals, I believe that's okay. But it kind of depends on the structure of the deal.
Would you do it? Does SBA guarantee residential long-term rentals?
No.
No, okay. So if it was a bed and breakfast, is there a possibility?
Nope.
Airbnb?
Nope.
Nope.
VRBO would be a no as well.
Okay. But if it was a regular boutique hotel or regular hotel?
A hotel it can do, but it can't do like a residence Airbnb. No.
Okay. Those are questions we get all the time.
And that's not to say that they can't get a loan for that. It's just that we're not going to guarantee it. But certainly if they have a good business model and they have collateral and cash and all the other things that we're talking about, there are lenders that would be happy to provide lending on that. We just can't provide the federal government's and so the public's guarantee behind it.
And under a declared disaster, that's the only time that the SBA will lend to individuals and nonprofits?
Yes, well, through our 7A program, yes. So the disaster program will provide loans, but the regular 7A and 504 program does not, correct?
We get that question a lot too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you guys have been very comprehensive in your coverage of the topic for today. Our audience appears to be somewhat stymied. They don't seem to have any questions.
Either that or they're hungry and waiting for lunch after the seminar, not during the seminar.
Right.
Well, that's a good point. Well, we're not going to do a lunch and learn next week, Tuesday, but you do have a webinar next week, Tuesday. Would you like to promote that one?
We have a webinar this Thursday, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's Everything Idle. So, you know, Fernando, if you have not, if you feel that there's any more information that you can gain from that, you're going to see it on Twitter, and it's a Teams meeting, and I can always send you the information. And that's going to speak about, you know, the application process, which you've already gone through, the reasons for denial, and then the areas for reconsideration and that whole process. So we're going to repeat that on the 10th and also on the 29th of December, because that program runs right up to the 31st on www.sba.gov. So we want to make sure, if you prefer to hear it in Spanish, we have an Everything Idle seminar also 2 days this week at 3 p.m. tomorrow and 3 p.m. on Thursday in Spanish through one of our Puerto Rico colleagues. And again, all of those, if you're on Gov Delivery or if you need a flyer for that, feel free to email us or check the website or check Twitter. We're advertising them all. And then next Tuesday, that is the one about the export seminar, which we brought up, this one. And that one is not being run locally, but it's being run through our international trade office. And so it's expected to be a very good seminar. It's 3 p.m. in the afternoon on December 15th. And that is where I think that our public webinars before the holiday that'll be the last one until the 29th. But we can be reached by email or on our phones. Yeah. So there's always a way to get in contact with us and get help where needed.
You indicated that there was a correction you needed to make to the slide deck before.
Yes. Yeah. And that was basically, it was one of the figures on the PPP amount. It was just a cap on the PPP, even though it was closed. So I will just very quickly make that and resend it to you, Mary Jo, so you can forward it to those who have registered.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Oh, okay, folks. Well, on behalf of our state director, Mr. Ted Gutierrez, and the SBA, I want to thank you all for joining us. And for those of you that were watching us on Facebook Live, you can participate in the Q&A if you hop over to the Zoom meeting next time. But thank you all for joining us. We wish you all a happy holiday season, and we'll see you next year, hopefully, with SBA Lunch and Learns.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Stay safe.